Take a load off, traveller, and tell your story. You are now listening to Mackie.
Welcome, traveler. Passing through the gateway today is the man I secretly call Invader Ziz. It's Ziz. Welcome, sir. Please introduce yourself to us.
Hi, I guess I am the Invader, Ziz. It's Ziz. What's up? I do YouTube videos. Love Ashes of Creation, and will hopefully stream it in a year and a half when it comes out. Longtime MMO fan.
Awesome. So, are you a creator for the simple joy of creating, or did you have like a goal in mind when you first started to create content?
No, it was just for the enjoyment of it. In high school, I took like a class for video editing.
Right.
And then I did it for a job for a little while, for a long time ago. But then I was just playing games, and like it was one of those things where it's like I wanted to share some fun PvP stuff I did. And then it's like some people, maybe not everybody, but for me, sometimes it's like it's art. You know what I mean? Like I can't draw, right, but it's like I get to cut music and pick the right music for what I'm trying to show and cut everything right. And it's just a really fun creative process. That's why I started, and then that's why I tried to do like all the stuff I do. I just keep trying to do that, right? I don't want to do it for a business and money. I know some people do, which is great, but like if I ever get away from just doing it for the fun of it, then I don't want to do it.
For the average person going in as a creator, if you don't come in with a head of like, oh, I want to do this for the passion, for the simple joy of doing it, then you're gonna have a miserable time.
Yeah, you got to be passionate, because that's the only thing that's going to sustain you, right? Like,
yeah,
nobody clicks on your video. Somebody says you're an idiot, you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be times where you just got to still want to do it because you are passionate about doing it.
What hooked you on Ashes of Creation?
Man, okay, so I was very lucky to get right in at the very end of Kickstarter. I wish I would have seen it a little bit earlier, because I'm always like looking for MMOs, like waiting, like, and now like. It used to be an MMO would come out and you would play it, and now it's like MMOs come to Kickstarter and you get excited, and then you have to wait years. So like for the past few years, I've kind of been in this perpetual like waiting for a good MMO to play, right? So some friends like mentioned it, and I looked it up, and the biggest thing to me, the thing I think is going to set Ashes Creation apart, and the thing that is the most important to me, is how you can meaningfully impact the world around you and change it. That is the biggest thing I think that has been missing from MMOs, and that's why I'm so excited about Ashes of Creation, because I'm sick and tired of logging into World of Warcraft and it's the same quest, it's the same, right? You make a human and you're in front of the church and there's some wolves you got to kill. Like 15 years later, like nothing's changed. Like I want something to be different, something to change. I mean, everything else is, I mean, the graphics look awesome. I'm excited about 64 classes, you know, the nodes and transporting goods and the PvP, that's all awesome. But the fact that you can really impact and change the world, that it's meaningful. It's meaningful gameplay, which is what I want.
Definitely. I think that's the one thing that sold everyone that has backed or who is coming into the game is the dynamic world building, most definitely. So have you decided on a class or a race?
No, not at all. I like to wait. Okay. I know I'm going to play a melee character because I always play melee. And I usually I kind of always go back to like my first character, which was in Dark Age of Camelot, and it was a Reaver, which was this melee kind of tanky person, but they could lifesteal. So every game I play, I always like try to recreate that, because that was so much fun, like stealing life and doing damage and being melee. But as far as like what matches that up, we don't really know yet. We just have some names so far.
Right. So going off just the concept arts and the few racial descriptions that we do have, what races interest you at this point?
Well, the dwarves, of course. Dwarves are always awesome. The Denier, they're gonna have epic beards. That's, as a tester and content creator, I will make it my life's goal to make sure we get awesome beards in the game. So I will definitely be doing that. So Denier are awesome. Orcs are pretty cool too. Orcs are pretty fun. I know a lot of people are on the Tolnar hype train, but I just can't get behind a tail. I don't know why the tail, I can't get behind it.
Well, maybe there'll be an option where you can like, not have a tail.
Yeah, I will most likely be a dwarf though. I love dwarves. Beards, and they're fun and loud and boisterous and just run into trouble and act crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And then all those females with beards.
Well, not all of them, but if you're a dwarf, you don't have to stay. I mean, you can find a nice, pretty elf lady if you want to.
True.
Right? That's happened in Lord of the Rings. With, what's his name? Tyrion,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was just thinking about that the other day when I actually watched one of your videos when you were talking about people wanting dwarf females to have beards, and that's the first thing that popped into my head.
People were really excited when they mentioned that. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know there was that many people.
Yeah,
who've been,
it's kind of
like,
disturbing.
imagine being one of those people. You've been waiting like 20 years for a game to finally let you make a female dwarf beard.
Very disturbing. All right, so moving on to combat. Are you a PvP player or a PvE player, or both?
Well, I do both. I like big content, right? So I like dungeons, but I really like raids and stuff. World bosses are really fun, but my main thing is PvP. Big, massive world PvP, castle sieges, open world roaming. That's my favorite thing. That's what games I always play, like Guild Wars 2, ESO, Dark Age Camelot, Warhammer Online. Those are the games that I gravitate towards for sure.
Sweet. Definitely looking forward to the PvP in this game. Again, the dynamic world building, and it's one of the aspects of PvP that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, and it actually matters. That's the thing, is like the first game I played, Dark Age of Camelot, it felt like it mattered, because like back then there wasn't a lot of games to compare it to, and it was like one of the few games where you could like take keeps from other people, and it like, so compared to all the other games, it was like you felt like you were doing something, right? Well, now you have like Guild Wars 2 and like ESO who kind of do that, but they've like pared it down. Like, it's so quick and easy and just meaningless fluff. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? It's like round robin. You just take a keep, and 2 minutes later, someone else takes it right behind you, right? So that's what I'm excited for. It's not just PvP, but it's like, I made this really awesome thing, and I'm trying to transport it to sell it, and someone jumps me and tries to kill me. Like, I am trying to fight and save 20 hours of work, right? Or my guildmate or somebody, or I go and attack somebody, and like, I know I'm really impacting them. Like, when they talked about the castle sieges and how the weeks leading up to it, you have to take like trade packs basically from different nodes to your castle nodes, right, to like build them up. Like, that's gonna be so much fun, like intercepting those and finding them, and like people are trying to hide them. Like, it's meaningful combat. I'm super excited.
Right, definitely. Like you said, it's just not pointless PvP, pretty much. So as the game progresses in development, what are you excited to see more of, and what may still have you on the fence?
Excited for, well, lucky for me, the first phase of like real alpha testing is going to be that massive PvP stuff, right?
Yeah,
so I'm so happy to see that. And something I'm excited to see, but also ties into that what I'm nervous about, is going to be how the game performs with tons of people, right?
Right.
Because it seems like every game has problems, and I've said this before, but it seems like people have rose-colored glasses where they're always like, oh, other games were good. Like, no game has ever been really good with tons of people, right? Like once you get enough people, every game slows down and kind of sucks eventually. So I'm not expecting like a miracle, but I'm really excited for the first time we get like tons of people on screen. I don't know what number that is, but when like my screen is full, we're doing a castle siege, you know, my whole guild is like rushing in and like zerging on people, and they have a zerg, and like it's still fun and playable. That is the moment that I love in every game. That's what I'm really hoping for, but also a little worried about, like, what if that never happens, right? Like, I think it will, but that's the thing, that if it doesn't, would be the worst.
So recently Steven revealed a little bit about the lore. He revealed that there's going to be a non-playable race within the world who will act as antagonists. How do you believe they are tied to the lore?
Right. So we know that for some reason we all had to leave the world of Vera, right? And we escaped or whatever, went back to Sanctum. We know that from what they've said, the castles, when you first try to take them, like the very first time, they will be inhabited by this antagonist race, right? Right. So it sounds like they are the ones that took over. They're the ones that forced us off. Now, where they came from, I don't think it's aliens per se, right? But what I think would be cool, I'm just spitballing here, is we know the Tolnar, those are races who went underground, basically, right? Right. What if these races, that's where they came from, right? They broke up, they like emerged from underground, they vacated that area, they took over the overworld, right? And so, like, as a fun sort of lore tidbit, that's where they kind of, you know, everybody regressed and kind of was tossed aside and put down into where they came from. You know what I mean? It's like a reverse of fortune thing. So I don't know who it is. I hope it's like some cool like draconian race, something. I don't know. I hope they're just really badass and like evoke fear, and like you're like, when you see them, I hope they're not just easy pushovers. You know what I mean? I hope like when you see them, you're like, oh no. I hope they don't kill us all.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited to see what they're going to do with that. And also the alien theme seems to be like a general consensus from everyone I've talked to. They're like, oh yeah, it's probably aliens.
Do you think aliens?
I honestly don't. I feel like maybe this race just was created out of the calamity. Maybe, I don't know. Like,
I think it's more fun and gives more weight and meaning to the world if they somehow came out from the world. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like hard circumstances or something born, birthed these evil race. Like, I don't know if anybody listening here reads Brandon Sanderson, The Stormlight. In that book series, there's like these people called the Parshmen, and they're like, basically there were servants in the world, but something happened and they are like now attacking the humans. You know what I mean? It's like when you have this kind of rebellion where they like rise up. I just don't want to see, like, that's something kind of always bugged me about WoW. I'm like, why are there flying spaceships? Like, I know the lore like explains it, but I'm like, I was just saying I hope it's not spaceships. One thing I do hope they do though, and I think Steven's kind of said a couple times, they have some other like projects in the works, which we don't know what they are. But I hope, and some other games like Warhammer's done this, WoW's done this, I hope they come out with a book or two. I love reading books. Like, that's my favorite place to get stories. So if they have like a book that comes out before the game launches to get some of this backstory, that would be my favorite thing.
Definitely. One of the first MMOs I ever played was Terra Online, and before the game ever launched in the US, they published 4 different books concerning their lore, and I read those books before I played the game, and they were so, oh my god, they were so fantastic. Also, like ESO, they have books that are canon for their world, and that's just so amazing to me. I hope that Ashes does something like that.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 did as well.
Yeah,
those 3 books. And it's just so fun, like, before the game comes out, before you can play it, to get drawn into this world. And then it makes everything so much more interesting and meaningful. Like, I don't know why. I can read books for, like, hours and hours and hours. But, like, for some reason, when I get in game, I don't want to stop and, like, read something. And I know a lot of people love to, but I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, so I hope there is books or something. That would be really cool if they do that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I don't want to read in game, so like I usually
end up
like tabbing through through all the quests.
But I'd read a 1,000-page book though in a weekend. Right. You know what I mean? So I don't know where the disconnect is.
I definitely like when NPCs tell you about the lore. So you could kind of be AFK or whatever and listen to these people talk to you. So that's another thing I like about games.
Or even just quick like one-liners, you know what I mean? Like someone's hiding and they're like, oh no, I hope I don't get attacked by the witch or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's a witch around. Like, just little things like that. Like, I just don't want to sit there for a minute and like stop my gameplay and like read this big long thing. So,
definitely.
We'll see. I know a lot of people love that though too. So
yeah, so let's hope that's in there. So you are part of one of the bigger communities in Ashes of Creation called Imperium.
Yeah.
So what motivated you to join a guild so early in development?
As far as joining a guild, I think this early in development, it's a lot of theory crafting, right? It's a lot of guessing, it's a lot of hoping, it's, talking about stuff that may or may not come to pass. And if you don't have a close group of friends, either in real life or friends who followed you from game to game over the years, you know what I mean? If you don't have that already, there's really not any other place for you to get it. Like, you can go to Reddit and stuff and read and have a little bit, but like, if you want to build like community and like have people that you know for a year or two and then join launch, right? Like, you kind of got to join a guild to do that. And because being in a guild like launch day is as fun as as fun as the game is launch day, it's twice as fun when you're in a guild and you're in chat and people are like, oh no, the server went down, and people are excited, like, ding, I got to level 2 before anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, nobody cares in game. You're like, ding, number 2. People are, but like in guild, people's like, yeah, sweet. And you're like, I got this weapon, and it's like, somebody need this. You know what I mean? Just that camaraderie and stuff. You don't want to miss out on that if you can avoid it.
Definitely, and I know there's a lot of solo players now within the MMO spectrum, and that's cool, but you're also missing out on a huge sense of community in a way, I guess you can say. So, sorry.
Like some of those guilds, like I mean, you got like tons of guilds out there, Gashkia, Old Timers Guild, like all these guilds, even the Guild 9, I mean, like when you're in it for a long time and you have a common, common theme like MMOs or PvP games or whatever it is, like you can get to a place where you've known these people for 5, 10. I mean, I hope to know some of these people when I'm retired, right? Like we've known each other for 30 years, you know what I mean? Like that's awesome, fun friendships that you can build online.
So it does create that friendship and those bonds that honestly, if you're not a gamer, you wouldn't understand, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and it's one thing to like just share a common interest, but like when it's a common interest and it's something you're passionate about, you know what I mean? Then it's like you try to go talk to some of your friends for, talk their ear off for like 20 minutes about the difference between like mitigation and extra hit points when it comes to tanks who are being healed. Like nobody cares unless you're talking to people who share that same interest,
Right.
And then you're like sharing different, DPS reports, and like it's just fun to be around people who enjoy this.
What are your thoughts on the negativity surrounding the community when it comes to guilds mentioning that they are the best or they will be the best within Ashes?
Yeah, I mean, because like really, like who cares what you say a year before the game comes out?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, you think you're the best? Cool. Like, that doesn't matter to me. Like, let's get in game. That's when it's gonna matter. You know what I mean? And like, right now, being the best is like who actually knows what they're talking about, who watched the stream, who understands the actual game mechanics, right? Like who, you know what I mean? Like that's as much as you can get right now. But like, if you want to pretend you're some sort of keyboard warrior a year and a half before the game comes out, like that's cool. But I'm gonna write it down and then I'm gonna remember it. And if you're gone a month after launch, then I guess we can check your name off the list. Like,
Right.
So I really don't get involved in the drama. Like I don't care about drama. You know what I mean? Like it's fun sometimes. It's fun to rib people a little bit and have discussions and have somebody that you want to fight in game and like show who's the best in in a competitive sort of scene. But really, it's like you want to be the best. That's cool. Good for you, man. Like.
Right. If you aren't familiar with Ziz, he does a variety of other games. One upcoming game that we're going to talk about is Blessed Online. So Ziz, what made you want to become an emissary for Blessed Online?
Man, so that is kind of crazy. I know a lot of people have been following Blessed for like years, wanting it to come to the West.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things in the guild, right? Our main game, of course, is Ashes of Creation, but we're waiting for that. And so another game comes up, it's like, hey, Bless is going to launch sometime. So I start checking it out a little bit. And of course, I want to play MMOs, and there's been, a dearth of MMOs for the past years. So when a new game comes out and it's MMO, it's like, I want to look into it. So I made a video just kind of talking about, if it's something you maybe want to play or pass on, just kind of giving people some general information so they could understand something they want to look into. Then I saw the emissary thing, and I didn't really know exactly what it would entail. I mean, I don't think anybody really knew beforehand. It was just kind of like early access. But I mean, that could have been like, here's some videos you guys get to use, or here's access to a tester. We didn't really know. So I applied, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, you're an emissary. We want to fly you out to San Francisco and play the game. I was like, really? That's awesome. So it kind of was like kind of a whirlwind, you know what I mean? Like it happened really quickly. I learned about the game, did some research, made a video, and then like all within a couple of weeks.
I've played the other version of Bless, so I was just giving my feedback about the people who are concerned.
Yeah, a lot of people have played the Korean or the Russian or the Japanese version. You can go play that right now. So when you play a game for a long time, you have, intimate knowledge of this skill is underpowered and this one is too long of a cooldown and there's no, you know what I mean? Like, so when you play the NA version, you're like, did they fix these very specific things? Which are really important for people who've played it a lot, like you and a lot of other people. Like, they want to know that stuff. And then there's a lot of other people who've probably never even heard of it, and this is their first chance because they don't want to play, a Japanese version where you have to download all this other software. So, so that's definitely, I mean, and you had mentioned that too in your comment. Like, that's kind of where I came from. Was I've played a lot of MMOs, or I've been around a long time, but I'm new to this. What is like my first reaction to it? You know what I mean? Like, what's my first impression? So,
but you did a really good job. I want to give my hat off to you. You did a
Yeah,
really
it was
job.
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to go, and that's maybe the best part. Like, was meeting everybody, meeting the developers, and then also the other emissaries. Like, playing the game was awesome, but I mean, the game's going to be out here in a few days, and then you're going to be able to play it 20 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
like, as cool as it was, like the best part was meeting the emissaries and hanging out with them, and so I mean, it definitely makes me want to do other stuff, like go to PAX West and PAX East and all this sort of stuff. So that was one of the best parts, I think.
All right, so with all the negativity that has been following the Bless game, what advice do you have to ease the mind of those still unsure about it?
Well, I think the couple good things is depending on how hardcore you want to go. I mean, the first couple of days you could just wait and just watch and see what other people's reaction are, right? Because if you play on the 28th, it's $40. You wait 2 days and it's $30. You know what I mean? So if you want, you can wait a couple of days. I think one of the coolest things though is that developers are always saying how they are listening to the community and gonna take their feedback. You know what I mean? I think every game I've ever seen. But Bless has really done a lot of stuff in a very short period of time where they are putting their money where their mouth is, right? I mean, they lowered the expensive pack from $200 down to $150, right? They took away the premium customer service, right? I mean, they're making changes. They came out with a bunch of different Q&As specifically addressing stuff. There's the dungeon reset scrolls, which are in the Japanese version, and a lot of people would say are pay to win, and they're not going to be in the game at all, right? So there's things like that where you can definitely see them listening. And for me, that was the biggest thing when I got to meet the developers, is like sometimes even in videos on YouTube, where these developers have a chance to read a script and record it and re-record it and edit it. Like, they have every opportunity to put their best foot forward. And even sometimes on these videos, you get this like business corporate vibe. You know what I mean? Like, you're just spouting BS. At the event, I'm talking to these guys and they're just off the cuff, right? It's like their first instinct, what they're saying. And it never felt like that. You know what I mean? It is a business. They got to keep the doors open. But their main reaction to the game is, I want to make a great game that people love, and we don't want pay to win. And I think they've shown it so far. And in hindsight's 2020. I mean, it might be a month from now and we're looking back and like, what the heck happened here? But I'm definitely going in hopeful. I'm excited. I love the new combat system. It's a lot of fun. And honestly, what other MMOs are there to play right now? You can play WoW. You can play some rehashed BDO and arcade servers that they keep trying to restart. You know what I mean? So and one of the things too is people always talk about how like, oh, if I spend $40 on MMO and I don't play it for a year, that game sucks, right? Any other game you play, like, you get 20 hours out of it and people are like, oh, that was a good game, right? I played God of War and I got 30 hours out of God of War. That's the best game of the year, right? You put 200 hours into MMO and you're like, oh, the game sucks. You know what I mean? So they're different games, but I'm excited. I think you got a lot going for it. And again, if you're not sold on it, just watch for a day or two, and then you can pick it up on the 30th.
In my opinion, this is their last chance to make an impact in this genre. And if they do not, then it's all over pretty much.
Yeah, and they already released in the East 3 times. Now they're releasing in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, unless a big population moves to Antarctica soon, I don't think they have any other places to go.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, like you said, there's not that many MMOs out that are captivating a lot of people, and this is one of the ones that I know a lot of the Ashes of Creation community, newer guilds, are gravitating towards, so they can create that camaraderie and that brotherhood.
Yeah, build that community before AOC.
All right, so now we come to the part of the show where we do some rapid fire questions.
I'm scared. Be
Don't
gentle.
worry. They're simple. All right, so you have a few seconds to answer.
Okay,
Are you ready?
Okay. Okay, go.
All right. What is Steven Sharif's choice of footwear?
Sandals.
Yeah. The Tolner dwell in this place.
Underrealm.
Yeah. What sub-race of Ayla human are said to have been forged in the heat of the desert?
Pass.
The Valoon. And that's it.
I'm so bad with race names. I knew the Dunir. I think that's Tolnar and the Tolnar. I know 2 race names, I think.
You're good. You
Why
did
couldn't
good.
they just name them Elf and Dwarf? Why'd they get fancy with it?
They have to be unique.
That's true.
All right, so that brings me to the conclusion of our little podcast today. I want to thank my special guest, ItsZiz, for taking the time and participating in this project with me. You're welcome back anytime to talk about anything, dude.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. I had a ton of fun. I'm excited to see your channel grow and all the awesome stuff you're going to do for AOC.
Thank you so much. So for those curious to find you, where can they go?
YouTube.com/ItsZiz, and same on Twitch.tv/ItsZiz.
Awesome. And guys, all the links will be in the description. Also, I want to thank everyone who is listening. We'll see you later, and I hope to see you and hear you guys around the community. Peace.
Bye. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Great. I'm just making sure everything is working.
Does my mic sound okay?
Yeah, you sound good. Say something else for me.
Something else. Something. Check, check. 1, 2. Test, test. Pop, pop. Peter
You're
Pecker,
good.
Pick Pecker, Pickle Pepper.
Follow our links below for more content and subscribe.